Good evening, everybody out there, and welcome back to another fantastic race here at SRA. Today we're going to be doing the Season 8 Round 7 race for Division 1, and we're going to be racing at Indianapolis. Tonight I'm joined by Mr. Josh Damiani himself. How you feeling tonight, Josh?
Pretty good coming into this penultimate round. I'm looking forward to this very interesting race that we're going to have on our hands, and probably more interesting qualifying than anything to set us up for the last round of the season.
Very, very interesting indeed. So interesting, in fact, that it's been the toughest one for me to get used to so far this week. Of course, we're going to be at Indianapolis tonight. The race is very early in the morning. I believe it's an 8 a.m. start with an even earlier 6 a.m. quali start, which has made for some very unique track conditions. Definitely not a track I'm used to at night, and I think it makes a big difference. What do you think about this track, Josh?
It's like you said, it's been a absolute handful to get used to. It is 6 o'clock in the morning, and some of us might be used to Indianapolis at night, especially SRA folk that were here for the 1K that we did back in the day. But any Indianapolis driving, the difference here is that, especially in qualifying, it is a fast track to start off the session, and it takes, I would say, close to 6-7 minutes to lay enough rubber down for it to change up towards optimum. So it's going to be difficult, especially for the silver drivers. The race, not so much, but we all know Indianapolis pretty well. Turn 7 is ever critical, especially with the fuel load. A lot of people were snapping around, and just getting loose in the grass on the outside is not good for your run down towards turn 8. Yeah, I mean, this track can bite you in many different places. It's low grip, it's cold outside, and with the fact that it's starting in a fast track scenario, like, you really got to be careful with your tires.
Oh yeah, low grip, cold track. A lot of these cars that are going to be racing each other will have different abilities and take some of the corners differently enough. Very notably, you pointed out turn 7. There will be a lot of close driving coming out of turn 7 and going down that back straight. And that spot just opens up. It's an open invitation to battling and messiness of all sorts.
Oh yeah, it's like you said, with the difference of line, there's some cars that need a little bit more of, I'll call it, encouragement to get the car to rotate as quickly as you need it to from the left-hander of turn 6 to the right-hander of turn 7. And some cars, you can just do a little bit of a lift off the throttle, or even just turn the wheel the other way and it wants to comply. So those who get the stronger drive through the apex are going to be really pushing for position down the straight. And yeah, it should make for interesting racing halfway around the lap.
You're definitely right. Very key turns are, of course, going to be turn 1, as always. Turn 7, like we mentioned. Turn 6 even might get a little hairy if you are able to follow somebody really close. And other than that, just turn 13, I think, the other slow corner.
Yeah, pretty much anything at the end of the complex is really, you don't really want to compromise too much in, but if you follow close and you get a good exit, you can always make a run out.
Yep, I think you're totally right. Now, moving on to our team series standings, you can see something very funky and exciting happening here. Do you see it, Josh?
I definitely do. A 1-point split between our top 2 teams. Dylan Stallworth, Ryan Yee in first with TSE Madhouse, Drive Merc Vroom, and their compatriots over at Drive Audi Vroom with Jeremy Mercer and Peter O'Brien, just, 1 point behind them.
You're absolutely right. Very exciting indeed, with a two-way battle for the team championship going on up top. Of course, the guys in 3rd and 4th, and even 5th almost, I wouldn't put it against them or wouldn't bet against them, because they're really not that far away as 100 points and 130 points and 90 points are all completely doable for one driver in one race if you get lucky enough.
I think at this point in the season, unfortunately, we're getting to that nitty gritty. Like 100 points is one win for one person. Like that would need two people on the other team to slip up. They're definitely there for the podium position. Like the fight for third is going to be very interesting, but I think the fight for 1 and 2 is solely between TSE.
They definitely should be, especially here in D1 with how these drivers drive. But I've seen crazier things happen. I won't count them out just yet.
Like Ryan Yee already appearing in second place in the driver standings.
Ryan Yee, once again, kind of what you mentioned. I think Ed already has a relatively low drop race, and him being 77 points ahead here with only 2 rounds remaining, including today, means it's going to be tough for Ryan Yee to pull this one out. He's definitely going to have to get lucky with Ed's performances if he wants to catch up and make the overtake happen.
I don't know. I mean, just outperforming him in the last 2 races can be just enough to do it. Like, it all depends on how many positions he can outperform Ed by in these races, or if somebody gets tangled up in issues. Just trying to take a quick look over at the hot lap boards just to see where they compare right now for overall.
Right. Basically, Ryan Yee is going to be hoping that Ed Kerstetter gets P10-ish or worse in each race.
It's Ryan Yee is holding down the number 1 overall spot, and Ed's close right there in P5, but I don't know, with the track conditions, I think it's really up in the air as to who's going to have tires to hold out for this race alone.
Yep, I'm definitely interested
then
to
we
see.
Can look forward to the last one.
I'm interested to see the difference between the Merc and the McLaren and how they're going to hold up towards the end of the race. Of course, Timothy Flomger, only 3 points behind Ryan Yee. He's also in this battle a bit, and we very well will either be watching a battle for second or a battle for first, depending on how things shake up.
It's all eyes at the top, but no love spared at the bottom.
Absolutely.
It's just very interesting and very entertaining to watch the rise of Ryan Yee as after he took the was it 2 weeks off, 1 week off at the start of the season?
2 weeks. He missed the first 2.
Want to tick off your heads up display?
I do indeed.
There we go.
Resets on you sometimes.
Yeah. Danny Durant's currently holding on to P1 right now for the silver drivers, a 34.840. Track conditions still fast, and we're already halfway through their qualifying session.
Yep,
the Golds should enjoy an optimum track for, I'd say, most, if not all, of their session.
Yep, you're pretty much exactly right. I believe it'll switch over to optimum right around the 10-minute mark. Maybe a bit before it, maybe a bit after it.
A little bit unfortunate, but similar to the random nature of the wet races, I mean, silvers could end up with a better qualifying situation in those, and I believe we saw that this season, or was that last season?
I think it was last season in Watkins Glen.
It was a hoot to watch the race, that's for sure.
Right.
It's Nate Specht in the picture-in-picture coming around the last corner. 1.2 seconds up on his delta, brings him up 1.5 tenths off pole with 35.9.
Yep, sitting in P2 now.
John Sparks about to do the same. 1.4 seconds up, but a little bit farther off. Still holding on to 10th, but a 37.0. A little bit closer to the pack.
Yep, only about 4 tenths off the next guy now. I bet he can keep improving and getting closer.
That's the thing, you really want to have... I feel like for silvers, this is kind of like an F1 qualifying. It's all about who's going to be out there for the last lap, the track evolution.
You are exactly correct.
Because if it does switch over right at the 10-minute mark, and you're out there, you're gonna get most of those corners in an optimum condition. But
Yeah,
do you have the tires?
If you're a silver driver and you can cross the line at like 10:05, you're gonna have the best shot at a silver pole position. I might just try to calculate that.
We got 3 minutes left right now. Smart Michi takes pole with a 35.6.
Yep, really quick by him, and then
Danny Durance takes it right back with a 35.565.
and JD Daniel also popped up there near the top and is in third now after an improvement.
35.770. Got 3 brands in the top 3. Fan favorite Dan Cran in P5. Working on a bit of an improvement on his lap time right now.
Chat's active today.
I'm trying to get my Twitch open so I can have some interactions with chat here. It's always a good time. Shout out to somebody I know is always there. Patches, what's happening? It's the only one I can guarantee.
Hands a rigatoni there. Cheering on Dan Gran as per usual.
As per usual.
Stefan Buckley says one of these days he'll get his act together and race with SRA. It's never a bad time to start. Feel free to join us.
The doors are always open. I love these camera angles at Indy. Nate Speck avoiding some traffic as he comes into the penultimate turn here. Little bobble. It's gonna cost him a bit of time there, but that corner is tough. I mean, you don't really want to cut the inside curb and hop, because that can really unsettle the car, but you can also gain a good amount of time there. And then if you go too wide, then you just slide through the corner and lose all the time that you had.
Yeah, there's a lot of spots on this track that are just like that. You're on a knife's edge on this track, more so than others, or at least that's how it feels to me. Nate Speck just recently moved up into P3, by the way. He's only 0.07 off of pole position.
Yeah, very close. Just a 10th covering the top 3. Dan Cran, once again, working on an improvement here.
John Sparks went
well
yellow
executed.
and went back to the pits after he probably wasn't improving enough, though he did get enough to move up into P7 from where he was sitting.
5 seconds left. I think the only people who are gonna make it, the only one who's gonna get it is 7:02, Mr. Bray, and it's still a fast track.
Check that out. JD Daniel crosses the line and takes pole. Nate Specht is going to cross the line a little bit positive. Is it going to be enough to move him up? Not quite. He's still in P4. And then we've got Bray.
Track's still not flipping over to optimum, so even the gold drivers are going to have a little bit to work with.
You're exactly right, as Bray is the last one who's going to be able to do a lap. He's doing it on what is still a fast track.
Yeah, currently up just over 10th on his personal best. Working his way through the S's.
Looking clean
well
so
executed
far.
Cut of that corner. It's a very fine line there for the track limits.
Yep, keeps his delta green. Goes a little bit deep there, but not too deep, it doesn't look like. Cuts that curb very aggressively. Isn't able to get on the throttle as early as he'd like. And loses some time for it. He's still going to improve.
Not enough for a change of position.
Indeed, not enough. That's going to bring us to our gold drivers. First of which, crossing the line, is going to be Ryan Yee. Ryan Yee leading the guys out of the pit lane and hopes to be leading the guys to pole position.
Picture in picture, I flip over to Fazli Majid, sorry, and looked like I flipped into a different server and people were racing each other. I've always wondered that about the gold drivers. They just race all the way to the end together, and then they're all bunched up and parked. It can't be good for the tires, cooling them down.
Especially I don't want to race on my outlap for quali.
Yeah, like I like a little bit of pushing to warm up the tires, but I definitely try and do more of the warming through braking than turning, just so that I can warm the carcass of the tire rather than just like scrub the outside.
Tony Frasina in for our redeemed. Hi, I am new. Welcome to the channel and the stream.
Welcome, Tony.
Language 10, I think that's Diego, says bread's up.
Bread do in fact be up.
Diego's not racing with us here tonight, is he?
I guess not.
He's talking about bread being up.
Or well, yeah, no, I guess he's not. Maybe he's away.
It is interesting. I mean, it's later in the season, which is one thing.
Yeah, only 25 drivers. That's odd.
Yeah, 25 drivers in D1. I think it was about 30 or just a touch more than 30, right, last week?
If I remember correctly.
It's Ryan Yee's coming from the final corner, going to set down his first lap time. It's good enough for P5. He's already 2.5 tenths off of the silver pole from his first lap. Then you got Timothy Flomger flying in, almost snatching pole position for himself already. He's only 400ths off.
Very strong starts out there.
Strong starts indeed. Let's get a little POV action from one of these super quick gold drivers and Mr. Sir. Get a look at what the conditions are like out there and just how on edge these guys can be. Track temperature is still only fast, by the way. Has not flipped over to optimum yet. Seems later than the sessions I've seen so far.
Yeah, this does not seem to mimic the practice race too much. Interesting. All the drivers awaiting to race tomorrow are all just taking notes right now.
Yeah.
Backtracking on their plans.
Yeah, us included.
Yeah, as Ryan Yee takes pole with a 35.262.
Very quick of him. Mr. Sir crossed and he's sitting in 15th. Flomger in P3 now after Ryan Yee took pole. You've got Gomer Wilson, who just crossed the line in P2, only a 10.5 behind Ryan Yee.
ECM drew 5 once in a while, yeah. Like, if I plan on driving the same car for multiple seasons, and I know that, I don't know, and I don't see that there's going to be like a physics update coming up or something, I'll take notes on different tracks. so that, you know, when I come around, I can be like, oh yeah, remember someone told you this thing about remembering to aim for this thing or use this as a braking marker if you lose a board and stuff like that, because I have the memory of a goldfish. So
I write all my notes on my palm in Sharpie.
now don't get me wrong, pit stop strats, no idea. I just kind of go in and hope I'm not speeding.
Yeah, those close to me know I have a tendency to not practice the pit stop until the day of a race.
So Peter O'Brien takes pole with a 35.142. Just under half a tenth ahead of Ryan Yee.
Pretty cracking lap by Peter O'Brien there to be able to take pole. He was all the way down in like P15 when he did that.
I think I know why. Breaking news. Track has flipped to optimum.
Huge if true.
I see a lot of drivers picking up 2/10, 3/10. Some of the top drivers still floating around a tenth. But again, like, you've got to have the tires left
so far.
I think Peter just timed that really well in his stint.
I think you're right. Something I have noticed doing quali fuel runs, I definitely noticed the tires falling off towards the end. Ryan Yee says, screw that noise. Takes pole position for the moment for himself anyways.
By 100th.
Yep. Peter O'Brien's going to be right behind him. I'm sure going to be trying to challenge that spot.
Jeremy Mercer, sneaky up 3/10 right now on his time, coming into the penultimate turn. He's up over 2/10. That's enough to clear pole.
Yeah, maybe the track is feeling better now.
I'm sure some of the slow corners are easier to get the car.
He takes it. Almost a
35.060.
Gosh, we haven't said it yet, but a 35 flat, that's a good time.
That's pretty, that's pretty darn quick.
Can somebody beat it? Can somebody take us higher into the 34s?
Brooms.
I know it's lower, but...
So Ryan Yee's fastest time on the hot lap leaderboard right now is a 34.973.
So he definitely has it in him for the time.
And keep in mind,
shoot,
those are pulled from servers that don't.
They don't heat up.
They don't evolve. So that was on.
But
fast
he's gonna
conditions.
cross. It's gonna be enough to take it, and oh man, like a millisecond before he was able to get another run in.
A 34.962.
Jeremy Mercer is quite red on his delta. I don't think he's going to be able to challenge Ryan Yee. Flomger comes in at P4. Gomer Wilson is coming through the final corner. He's got an even delta, so he won't improve. So P1 through 8 is set from Flomger to Wilson, Sir, Spangler, and Nordstrom. Now we have Matt Lehman coming out of the final corner. Just dipped into the red there and won't improve. And last but not least, for sure, we have the current championship leader approaching the final sector of the track. He's currently looking pretty green. He might have something in store for us.
I don't think enough to jump up to the tippity top, but enough to jump a couple positions, that's for sure.
You're right. So as he crosses the line, the championship leader will be moved into P5. He's going to be starting this race on the third row. Still not an uncomfortable spot for him. Like we were saying at the beginning of the stream, he does have a relatively sizable lead. Let's see how it all turns out for him.
Got interesting bunch up at the front. Mercedes, Audi. I don't think we've seen that one this season.
Mercedes, Audi, Lamborghini, McLaren, Audi. Audi's definitely quick here. There are 4 McLarens in the top 10, so don't count them out. Of course, you got Ryan Yee in the AMG. So who knows if that car is actually fast or not.
Well, we got Stallworth in P11. No, it's not. It's clearly not a slow car or a bad car. It's not overdriving it, that's for sure.
Definitely not.
But just showing us what it's capable of.
There's the man himself, leading from pole position tonight. Ryan Yee, as he's going to attempt to make the overtake in the standings happen and hope to take the fight even closer for next week. We'll see. It'll be fun to watch.
It definitely will be. Yeah, Stefan pointing out only one Beamer and one Ferrari. It's actually 2 Ferraris.
Yeah.
But funny enough... Oh wait, no. Never mind. I take that back.
Kerstetter's Golf livery. I always want to say, oh, that's a nice livery.
It is. It's just clean.
Man, those Audis look so good. Also pretty partial to this AMG. Still not... It's still a toss-up for me whether the wireframe look is cool or not.
I think it's awesome. Especially seeing it on track.
Yeah, I've been told it's awesome. I think I like it.
I know I like it. But those 2 Audis behind, those things are stylish.
Gosh, it's so refreshing seeing the sun come out on the server. It's almost like it's a real morning, and I just get those morning time vibes, you know?
Yeah, it makes me want to go make a coffee.
Yeah.
Have some bacon and eggs, you know?
You're right. Canadian bacon, right?
I do both. Canadian bacon and just bacon.
So bacon and ham?
Not one or the other.
Teasing.
I'm not
course.
like, give me bacon, give me ham, give me sausage.
Yeah, race temps are going to be pretty cool, Diego.
It is, Patches. It is. I was gonna say that.
Pamil bacon.
P-mail.
Not gonna pretend like I know what that word means.
It's just done differently. I'm not gonna pretend I know how to do it, but we all know it's good. There you go. Bacon. It's bacon with a cornmeal crust. Back bacon.
Back bacon. There you go.
We're learning.
I've had it. I don't dislike it.
Well,
All
now
right.
that I'm hungry, I guess we can suffice the appetite with some action.
How is this gonna go? I'm gonna call it. The race is gonna be extremely clean. We might see one or two light bumps on lap one, but I have a lot of faith. They're gonna be legendary out there, and they're gonna show us why they're D1. Ryan Yee gets close to the starting line. He's already a bit behind Mercer at the start, and doesn't get a better start off the line either, as he has to defend the second Audi from behind. And as they come into the corner, things are going to tighten up a bit, and it looks like Ryan Yee's fallen down to third place.
Got a couple drivers spun out in the back.
Couple of three wides there in the middle of the pack. And there's an accident on turn 3.
Oh my.
Man. A lot of drivers slow to avoid that.
Sparks, Michi, Spangler, Stallworth, JD Daniel, Bray.
A lot of big names back there.
A lot of drivers losing positions on the opening lap.
As Kerstetter gets overtaken
Dan
on
Cran
track.
and Stallworth now coming together.
But oh my gosh, that move around the outside was very aggressive, and he stuck it. Puts Gomer Wilson in his rear view again. Ryan Yee trades places with Peter O'Brien for the third time. And now he's going to be trying to chase down that Audi to get back at him and try to get back into the spot he started. He's got two Audis, I believe they're teammates, in front of him. What a wild start. My prediction might have been a touch off, but that's okay.
Stallworth gets tagged. Just getting pung towards the bottom.
Yeah, and that's Ryan Yee's teammate, so him being back towards the bottom is going to be rough for that close fight in the championship.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, aren't Mercer and O'Brien the teammates?
Yeah,
that are 1 point behind them?
I think they're leading by 1 point. I think Mercer and O'Brien might be leading by 1 point, or they're the ones that are behind it. They're one of them. And Ryan Yee in third behind both of them, and Stallworth in 22nd, well behind the three of them, are the other team.
"25 cars in the race, Stefan.
Yep.
As many drivers opting to pit early for damages, but also taking advantage of this wonderfully long pit window to knock off the necessary one.
You are right. This is a good track to undercut off on, if I've seen one. Matt Lehman staying very close to Nordstrom's cool Shark Boy livery.
That thing is very sharp looking.
Ryan Yee holds the fastest lap for the moment. See Dan Cran go into the pits, and the crowd goes wild. Also see Spangler still sitting in the pits after he was one of the drivers corralled in that early mix-up. And Matt Lehman goes very deep into turn 6. He's going to fight Majid from the outside, or from the inside, for the next corner, and looks like he will stay ahead.
Fazli's still side by side with him. It's going to come down to the braking zone here. Lehman asserting his dominance and saying that's my apex. I think that shows Fazli is not running a high fuel map. Lamborghini having the luxury of a couple different engine maps that let it just increase the engine braking without massively increasing fuel consumption, and also not downgrading fuel as well. Or not fuel, sorry, power. But can let you brake a lot later in some corners.
Mr. Sir pulls his famous trick out of the bag and he goes into the pits. I believe he's the first of the guys in the top 10 to go into the pits to attempt that big ol' undercut on this track. I think he was in 9th, or I think he was in 8th when he went in. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out at the end of the race.
Indy has a really long pit lane, so it's critical for fast ins, fast outs, and perfect stops.
You're right.
Rainey looks like he's gonna have a peak, but not a move. Riding on board with O'Brien in the picture-in-picture just to show how close these cars are driving to each other. It's tough through some of these tight S's, as you can't really spot the apexes.
Oh yeah. Peter O'Brien deciding they're racing. You know, he is not interested in pulling the team player card and just defending Ryan Yee. And Ryan Yee goes in to try to undercut them both. Ryan Yee's in the pits.
That's the smart move. He knows they're not going to force a switch around early. It's not really worth it because it just leaves the other person vulnerable. So he'll let them do what they want to, and he's going to run his own race. But where does he come out shall be the question. Will it be traffic? Or will it be clean air?
Very smart move by him, I think. I think he's going to be quick enough that he'll still come out ahead of any traffic that may have already pit. There's really only a few drivers who are lagging well behind the pack, and I think those are all drivers who have pit. I don't think any of them are lapping the way Ryan Yee is.
I don't think many will be able to maintain the pace that he does. Ryan also currently has the shortest time stopped at 4 seconds. And 58 seconds time in pit. Coming out 3.5 seconds ahead of Mr. Sir.
Good for both drivers.
And with 33 seconds of clean air in front of him. That is
very good
plus.
for Ryan Yee.
As one of our Audis peels into the pits. Looks to be Jeremy Mercer.
Yep, Mercer goes in. He decides to try and cover up the move from Ryan, though I'd be relatively surprised if he does.
Yeah, it could drop him right into Mr. Sir.
Could.
If the pit stop is not, again, perfect.
Flomger, though, is coming from a little bit behind to go ahead and challenge Peter O'Brien.
Yeah, he was just over 1.5 seconds when they were all still close together with Ryan Yee, but since they split up, Flomger's just been cracking away the laps. took over the fastest lap of the race with a 36.0. And hasn't looked back.
Interested to see... Oh yeah, you saw Ryan Yee fly past already. The undercut worked wonders for him right away. Although he takes an inside line that almost puts him ahead, though it was just a touch deep. And it looks like Mercer will go ahead and settle down behind Ryan Yee. Peter O'Brien better have some insane laps with Flomger a half second behind him if he wants to cover him up. At the moment, it's hard to tell as Ryan Yee just got done with his outlap.
Most of the field splitting up pretty decently, but Gomer Wilson still holding on to the back of Mr. Sir.
Yep, outside of the current top 10, or inside of the current top 10, there are no battles other than the one on your screen between Flomger and O'Brien for P1.
Things should stay relatively calm for, I'm gonna say, 15 minutes. And then the tire wear is gonna start to kick in. Not for everybody, but especially those who have been involved in any battling, the rear tire wear is not forgiving here. Michael Louis also still holding on to the back of Nate Specht in the picture-in-picture. Battling it up for P10. Dom Duran, the lone BMW, heads into the pits.
What laps are Pete and Tim doing? Which Pete?
Peter O'Brien, I'm assuming, and Tim Flomger. 35.9 for O'Brien and 35.9 for Flomger on the lap. last laps.
Yep, both of those very close to their bests, by the way. Peter O'Brien's best is a 35.8, and Flomger's best is a low 35.9. They have very similar pace.
They do. But just looking at the gaps right now, Ryan Yee already has a 2-second lead over Peter O'Brien.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The faster...
56 seconds is the gap to the leader, and it's a 58-second time in pit.
Yep, I believe that the guys who pit earlier were the faster pair of the 4 that were up front. Jeremy Mercer behind Ryan Yee is just about 2 seconds, a little more than 2 seconds behind him at the moment, and seems to be lapping about 2 or 3 tenths slower than Ryan Yee. By the way, Ryan Yee also doing 35.8s, just about 1/10 faster than Peter O'Brien and Flomger.
Damn.
Gomer Wilson is trying to send it on Mr. Sir down here. Getting very close.
Stefan, do you mean tenure or age?
I think he means age. I think I remember Stefan telling us he's one of the old guys.
I want to say Andrew Anderson.
Do you know how old he is?
No. I think Roger Rodriguez might be close to his age too.
Roger's a little bit older. John Crone always says he's old, but I don't know how old he is, so.
I know we have people in their 30s, 40s, 20s. I'm certain we have at least one person in their 50s in here.
Definitely a few in their 50s, I would assume.
Anderson is 50 plus, says Sutherland. He's in his dad's 50 plus league.
Yep. I know we have Gordon Beverly the third, and we have his dad, Gordon Beverly Jr., in the league. I'm not sure how old GB3 is to make a guesstimate on how old his dad might be, but at least like 40, right?
I'd say. Diego saying definitely Loic as the oldest. Yeah. Let's go with that. Patch is shouting out Foz, who's made it all the way up into 6th place now. Running in some clean air.
Gomer Wilson putting that Audi to the test, getting even closer to Mr. Sir. Mr. Sir jumped in for that undercut, and I know this is the last thing you wanted to happen. Especially after the Ulton race.
Yeah. Gomer's gonna give it a look. Just enough to make him think about it and change his line. But Mr. Sir's smart enough to not do that. Thing with D1 drivers, you really got to be, like, the move has to be on to get them to bite. D2, 3, or 2 and down, I guess you could say. It's a lot of, you'll see someone go to the mirrors and it's back and forth. A lot of action. These guys are just stone cold determined to hold their position.
Yep, especially if they just think they're going to send it even though the move's not really on.
Exactly.
And the lower you go, the more often you might actually see a couple of those dive bombs happen. Yeah, I wouldn't put it against Wilson here. He's definitely making that Audi look mighty tough.
Showing the strength of German engineering. I wonder if he's even just moving out to break out of the toe so that he doesn't have the move.
Yeah, a little bit of that, and also to see a little bit better, but yeah, maybe not. I mean, the brake marker's up above the car, so I don't think it'd be blocked at all.
I do not know. Mr. Sir going a little bit deep there, but Gomer following him.
Yep, a lot of tire squealing from both cars. This track just invites that, by the way. Tires at the end of the race today are going to be looking rough.
No doubt. Took large chunks out of mine just in the 30-minute practice race, so...
Yep.
It's, after an hour, I'll be surprised if they're still around. Dom Duran spins out. Sector 3, Sector 2. Just takes too much of the inside curb and unsettles the car. Ooh, sends it straight into the wall.
That's not fun.
No, it is not. And unfortunately, he's elected to retire from the race. We are down to 24. How in tarnation? I think he probably got over the inside curb onto the little sausage bits a little too early.
By the way, Wilson's done it.
If you do it too early. Ooh.
Wilson looked up the inside, and this time he did send it. Forced Mr. Sir to show some respect and leave him room on the inside, and took it through.
Very well done.
Yeah, nice overtake.
Does Mr. Sir try to answer?
Both of these drivers super competent, and I think the Audi has such a significant edge that unless Wilson makes a mistake, I don't think Mr. Sir is going to get the opportunity. We'll see. I know Mr. Sir can be a tenacious dude, so might prove me wrong.
He certainly is, but at the moment it looks like the Audi's got a little bit more pace.
Yep, doesn't really struggle through the corners, or it doesn't appear to us, and as you can see on screen, going down the straights, it is just a superior car.
As Fosley jumps into the pits, Dan Cran is working on the back of JD Daniel.
Yeah, with this track, you've got, like, turn 7, you can maybe force an overtake from the McLaren, but just to kind of show out in terms of downforce. But it's going to be pretty dang hard to catch up to the Audi on any of the straights to make an overtake happen in the more traditional corners. So the gap between Yi and P1 right now is
still 50. Well, it's 57 seconds now. So it's only a
That's
1
interesting.
second lead now.
Yeah, and it's a 58-second pit if you nail it.
According to the information we are getting back from the stops, from pit entry board to pit exit board is 58 seconds. On the current fastest stop, which is Ryan Yi, 4 seconds stopped.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely looks like that undercut's going to work, though I am impressed by Peter O'Brien's race pace at the moment. He currently is holding the fastest lap. He's definitely improved his times since we last checked in, as his last lap was a 35.9, and the lap he just now put in is also a 35.9. While Ryan Yi's last lap was a 36.0. We might see a flip, and Peter O'Brien might actually outpace him here for the moment. That Audi's looking tough.
A battle of tenths.
Yeah, if Peter O'Brien can do that split 5 more times, he'll be spatially ahead of Ryan Yi. By the way, Mr. Sir still hanging on to the back of Wilson, showing us that he isn't slower than him by any means. Still only about 7 tenths behind. And going down the main straight, passing the pits, he loses about 4 tenths. It looks like going down that main straight, unless he had a bad exit, looks like the Audi has about 3 to 4 tenths on the McLaren.
Wow.
That's with a little bit of a toe.
The only 2 drivers within 1 second of each other, Dan Cran and JD Daniel still. And as I say that, the gap becomes over 1 second.
We are halfway through. Keep it up.
By the way, something that we didn't check in on our track or point out at the beginning of the stream. The D1 Silver Championship standings. Top 3 guys in that are Mert Michi in first, currently. Dan Cran in second, about 39 points behind Mert. And Dan Good in third, just 11 points behind Dan Cran. So what kind of implications do we have today regarding that?
Dan Good is currently the 3rd highest silver driver on the field.
Yep, but he is the last of the silver drivers who have not pit yet, as he goes into the pits to prove me wrong, almost. Dan Cran is sitting
as well
in
as Michael
fourth.
Louis and Patrick Rust.
Yep. Yeah, I just mean he was behind.
Yeah, fair enough. I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yep.
I realized that now.
You're good. Dan Cran currently in fourth of those silvers who haven't pit yet, or who have pit rather. By the way, on screen, Jeffrey Bray looking for a move on the inside, but Majid is not having any of that. They get extremely close. He goes a little bit off track and files in behind him for turn 2. But yeah, Dan Cran in fourth. Dan Good is falling behind them just a bit. And 3.5 seconds behind Dan Cran, we do have Mert Michi. Dan Cran, currently sitting in second of the silvers, is leading this race just ahead of Michi, who's leading the guys on the championship standings.
I find silver so tough to track because you really don't know where the quote-unquote top silver driver is gonna finish.
Right.
So, like, what is the top points they can get?
Yeah,
sometimes
silver,
they win races, sometimes it's 20th.
A silver can win a race and get a huge amount of points, while the next closest silver in that race could be like P16 for all you know. So the disparity between the points they might earn in any given race can be kind of ridiculous. I don't think there will be any silvers winning this race, especially considering the track temp disparity for quali.
Yeah, you do kind of need a good starting position, and that's evident through the people that lost out on lap 1 and have just not been able to make up the positions yet. Nate Speck's now going to look up the inside of Bray. Bray's going to have the apex for the next corner, but that's going to give Nate the ability to maybe have a run down towards turn number 8.
He's definitely going to look on the inside.
And he doesn't. He stays to the outside. Bray just kind of stays away from the outside edge of the track and eats up a little bit of that room to attack.
Peter O'Brien's still driving really quick. His last was a 36.2. Brian Yee's last lap was a 36.2 as well. Ryan E still exactly 57 seconds behind the leader. So he's still more or less in the lead.
Dan Cran looks out from beside JD Daniel. Tries the outside, but it's not going to hold on as it really cuts him off for turn 2, and he'll have to give the position back.
Souther says that Flomger may be slightly ahead of Yi. I don't think so. I think when they pit, if they were to pit right now, I think they'd come out about 4 to 5 seconds behind Ryan Yi. If our math is right.
Well, if the numbers correctly reflect the track.
Big move onto Fosley, forces him wide and almost keeps the door open for Nate. Nate's going to continue following him super closely. Could the Lamborghini be struggling with tire wear maybe, or maybe it's just some harsh racing?
I think everybody's struggling with tire wear at this point. We got 22 minutes left. 40 minutes of trying to keep your pace up and where it was. I mean, obviously there's going to be some time loss, but it always sucks to see a red delta, so there's always a little bit of push in you.
Michael Louis goes into the pits. John Sparks and Danny Durant's going side by side into turn 1. Durant's takes that position and is going to lead Sparks heading towards sector 2.
Lawson Carpenter looks to make the same move on Patrick Rust here at turn 1. Down the inside, they get real close, but he's going to be ahead for turn 2. And that's a move for the bright pink Lamborghini. 6th place.
The gap between Bray and Rust. I can do a little math in my head to get that for you. He's about a minute. Yep. He beat me to it, dang it. About 1 minute behind. So if Rust were to pit he would be in
2
front.
to 4 seconds.
Nate Specht still taking the fight to Fazli Majid. Getting very close into turn 6. I think the McLaren has some superior downforce at this point in the track. He's going to be able to stay super close through 7. As they approach turn 8, he might just have a chance to stick his nose up the inside. Is he going to? Doesn't appear so. He's going to continue to follow him closely and bide his time. While they're doing that, JD Daniel and another Lamborghini getting super close just behind them. Closing in on them both. Really closing in on them both. Oh, whoa. Nate Specht looks up the inside in a surprise move. They touch. And he has to back out and let Majid continue to lead that. But now he definitely doesn't have the same drive as Daniel does from behind. Daniel tucks back into the slipstream and goes to the inside to make a move. Gets on the brakes later and leads through that corner. Did he overtake them both? He overtook them both. No.
Stuck himself in between.
Yep.
While that was going on, Rust came out of the pits half a second behind Bray.
Wow. So either our math was wrong, or Bray did a Superman lap, or, oh boy, Majid.
Oh, as Majid and JD Daniel come together.
Majid and JD Daniel crash into each other coming out of turn 6 towards turn 7. And it's not good for either driver, as they both lose quite a bit of time before they're able to rejoin the track. Winner of that exchange is definitely Nate Specht, who keeps both of those positions for himself. But now has Dan Cran to answer to, half a second behind him. Cheers from the audience erupt. You're right.
Interesting comparison of who has, or of which car is maintaining more tires. It seems like the Mercedes has not been too aggressive.
No, and Ryan Yee last lap was a 36.1, which is quick and is 0.4 faster than Peter O'Brien currently leading. I think the Mercedes is definitely showing that tire wear is not killing it at the moment. Yeah, it looks like JD and Faz earlier in that incident, their lines just converged. Bumped each other in a very, very downforce needy part of the track. Of course they spin. Well, this fight, as Dan Cran continues to try to hound Nate Specht from the back, is the only action currently going on track. And so, now's as good a time of as any to go ahead and bring up my favorite part of the stream. My favorite part of the race,
The ad read.
The ad read. A huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documize, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documize.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And to Go Setups. Premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Dan Grant still staying just about 1 second behind Nate Specht. And double checking, but yep, that is still our only battle on track for the moment.
Just flipping around, trying to give some airtime to different drivers we don't normally take a look at. Some different liveries.
There's a lot of good ones out there. Did I kill that ad read or what?
You definitely did.
In the good way, I hope.
Best way possible.
Patches says, will he Crancer the call? He continues to get closer to Nate, making that AMG look like it's an Audi or something. Not the cars and bids chat in the chat. That's how you know. That's how you know there's gaps on the field. Speaking of gaps, Javi, I'm going to tell you the gap between Peter and Yi. Ryan Yi is 56 seconds behind Peter O'Brien. So if Peter O'Brien were to pit right now, he would be behind Ryan. Anytime, Javier. Come on, Dan Cran, you can do it. Get closer. Give us a fight.
Not further.
Not further indeed. looks like Diego bought an Ioniq 6. We were just talking about that today in the Champion Motorsport chats. That car, rather. I know you're a huge Volkswagen guy, right, Josh?
Das Auto.
Oh, that's a Hyundai. I'm silly.
It is. Haven't had the pleasure of working on one yet. But I imagine it's going to be a nightmare. That's a way better choice, bro. Why didn't you?
I love the Elantra.
It's a way better car. How about that for it making sense? It's not an EV, so it's, I don't know. That's a whole different conversation.
If you handed me the keys to both of those cars, I can tell you with ease which one I'd go driving.
Cody, you sound like a base model Hyundai Venue kind of guy.
Hyundai
Just
Venue.
because it comes stick shift.
I do drive a stick, and that's relatively rare here in the States. That's why I like BMW. They still make them, even though they're not going to for much longer. Stefan Buckley says his wife's Kia Soul is the fast model. I'll take his word for it.
Oh, found as someone's trade-in. As long as the thing turns on and goes, you got a good model of Hyundai. Can these leaders pit so we can have some racing?
I know, right?
Like,
In
party
reality,
poopers. Bring back the 10-minute pit window.
I would be all for it. I like a little bit of realism. We're here to simulate the race, right? Who the heck's pitting in 1 minute? They're going to be pitting soon, though. They only have less than 5 minutes left to do it.
Who's gonna be the first to blink?
They're all going to do it with like a minute left. At this point. Heck yeah, Diego. Though we know those Ioniq 6s, I don't believe are cheap.
No, but
And they're fun to drive. I mean, they're not fun to drive. I
yeah,
like
like
them.
don't get me
They
wrong,
look nice.
they're pretty peppy. But it's just not for me. It's just not for me.
Gas is expensive up there in the Pacific Northwest. Here in Ohio, it's expensive, but it's sitting right around about $3.50, I believe. Over $4 if you're buying premium.
How much per gallon, sorry?
For me,
Yeah.
$3.50. I think. It's been a minute since I bought gas.
Okay.
My office is like 2 miles away from my house, so I very rarely buy gas. Oh my gosh. Ryan Yee getting super close to passing Simmons, who has yet to pit. And Lehman and Kerstetter go into the pits. Where will they come out? The chat's doing gallon and liter conversions and comparing gas prices now, Josh. Guys, it's the end of the race. Focus up. We just had Kerstetter come out. It looks like he's sitting behind the Audi of... Is that Mercer in front of him? It is. So he's behind Mercer, who is about 10 seconds behind Ryan Yee at the time. Peter O'Brien and Nordstrom both go into the pits. Pit windows open for 50 more seconds. Timothy Flomger currently leading. Has 40 seconds to make it there. I don't think he will. I don't think Flomger is going to make it to the pit lane. Plus, it doesn't actually trigger until after you do the whole right turn and actually get to where the pit limiter mark is, right? Pit windows closed, and Timothy Flomger did not make it. Still a few corners away from it, too. That stinks. That man was having too much fun racing. Peter O'Brien ends up in front of Ryan Yee, by the way.
I just realized I've been muted. I called that out.
What a goofball.
Yeah, I've just been talking to myself for like the last, I don't know, 7 minutes.
You're probably like, why does this guy keep cutting me off?
No, it's been the opposite.
Oh, nice. Well, Peter O'Brien, congratulations. He held on tight. And this is going to be their last lap, I believe. No, because Flomger still has to cross. So they'll have an extra lap. Hopefully we don't see Hopefully we don't see anybody who got their fuel too exact, because I think most of these guys have to do another lap, an extra lap. We might see somebody run out of fuel again.
Yeah, that's not uncommon.
Let's get some F's in the chat for Flomger, who got very close but just missed his pit marker.
I think he just overjudged how much time he had left.
Yeah.
Thought he could make it around to the pits one more lap.
Yeah, I think if he had another like 10 seconds, I think he would have made it. That definitely stings, though. That's one of the worst things that can happen. You drive a absolutely lights out race, you're gonna get a good finish after a good quali, and
The leader has finished the race.
suddenly you realize you've made a mistake. Definitely feels bad. But he crosses the line, and so now the rest of the drivers are free to cross and end their race. Few of the guys in the back are gonna cross, having done the normal amount of laps. But there are plenty who are on their extra lap. We'll be watching to see if any of them miss out. After Peter O'Brien came out of the pits ahead of Ryan Yee, Ryan Yee's been sitting at 1 second behind, but isn't able to close that and get past. Peter O'Brien takes P2, which will upgrade to P1. Ryan Yee takes P3, which will upgrade to P2. Jeremy Mercer comes out just ahead of Kerstetter in P4. Kerstetter now in P5. Those are going to be 3 and 4. Then you got Nordstrom in 5th, Wilson in 6th, Lehman in 7th, Mr. Sir going to be in 8th, Bray going to be in 9th, and Austin Carpenter, it looks like he will be in 10th, rounding out the top 10.
What a finish.
What a finish indeed. So, Peter O'Brien, Ryan Yee, Jeremy Mercer are our podium finishers. Let's see about hearing from them. Time for a couple interviews.
Flamger only finished 16th with that penalty.
That's crazy. That's a gap.
Guess if there's any track to do it, it's Indy.
Right. That's kind of wild. And the gap between P1 and P16 had to be like only, what, 30 seconds maybe? Anyways.
P1 and P16 before that was a minute and 30 seconds.
Dang, that's wild.
Yeah. If you think about it, some drivers get lapped, and a lap is a minute 40.
Yeah, you're right. As we wait for some of these finishers to file in, what did you think of the race, Josh?
It was good. I mean, when I thought it was going to last a little longer, but in the sense that like action was going to stick around, but you know, chaos on the first lap is always fun.
Oh yeah. By the way, we've got Peter O'Brien ready in the cool down room. Let's go ahead and speak to him. Hey Peter, welcome to the broadcast booth, and congratulations on that win. How are you feeling?
Feeling great, man. Thank you very much.
I am not surprised at all. We are actually a little bit surprised. We thought that Ryan Yee was going to have you covered with that undercut, but you proved us all wrong and drove some wildly consistent and quick laps. How the heck did you get that done?
Thanks, man. I think the key was really just clean air. I was talking with Mercer since we're obviously teammates during the race, and after Yi pit, he said he was going to follow him in, and I said, okay, cool. I'll just stay out with the clean air and see if I can hold the gap, just running laps as fast as I possibly can. I was really just using Timothy behind me as like a pace marker, for lack of a better term, and watching the delta grow between us was a good sign that I was gaining on Yi, but also the fact that Mercer was right behind him telling me his lap times was also nice.
That is nice indeed. That's you guys, worked out a heck of a strategy. We knew what was going on the moment it happened. We knew you guys, your guys' best most optimum strategy was going to be to split and for one of you to try to cover up Ryan. I know it was relatively close. I think your teammate came out like maybe just under a second behind Ryan when he came out of the pits. But that undercut worked wonders then, and we thought it was going to work for the whole race, but you showed out and proved us all wrong. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, man. I think really all it is when you pit early, you run into people who stay out the whole race who haven't pit, who are technically not blue flags, but will just sit in your way even if they're 2 seconds a lap slower. And I think Yi caught one of those people on one of the very last laps. I remember Mercer telling me one of Yi's final laps was like a 37.0. And I said, okay, he caught traffic. That's my saving grace. And lo and behold, it pretty much was.
Yep, you're exactly right. Every time we checked, Ryan Yi was either doing like 0.3 quicker than you, or 0.1 quicker than you, or 5. But then at the end of the race, he caught traffic, and I checked one time, and I noticed it was like 0.5 in your favor, and a bunch of those must have added up, and you made the absolute right strategy call there.
Thank you very much, man. I will say, he can't have been faster than me all race. I had the purple for once.
You did.
He didn't take it, so I'm gonna call that a victory in and of itself.
You're right. Relatively early, you like the moment I think you got free of some guys behind you, you put down an absolute flyer lap, and nobody came close to challenging that fastest lap of the race. So congrats on that extra. Is it 3
extra
points?
Point? I think it's just 1 for the fastest lap and 1 for the fastest queue time.
Heck yeah. Well, congrats again, man. Enjoy it tonight.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
You too. See you next time.
See you next time, man.
Who's our other driver on the podium? Because I forget already.
We got Ryan Yi in P2, and Peter's teammate Jeremy Mercer was in P3.
There it was.
So far, we've got Ryan Yi and Jeremy both ready. Let's talk to Ryan. Ryan, welcome to the booth. Hard fought and fantastic P2 finish for you. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Just got a little bit unlucky with the the 1 second loss I had. So.
We were just saying exactly that with Peter. Peter was saying he noticed one of your last laps was like a 37.0 because we're assuming you caught up to traffic. Is that right?
Yeah. There's one car since I pitted, and it cost me 1 second, and that was the second. That was it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We kept checking, and the gap between you guys kept being like 57, 57.5, which was right around what we expected to be the pit time. And we thought you were going to take it, as most of the time it looked like you were about a 10th or 2 quicker, but that traffic right at the end appeared to doom you.
Yep. I guess that's the gamble with pitting early. So
yeah, definitely. Still an awesome finish at P2, and I think you still probably made the right move. I mean, you had 2 teammates ahead of you, and if they wanted to be, very tactful, they could have tried to, sabotage you even more. And I think P2 is still an awesome result.
They actually did try, because they put Jeremy in to cover me off, except it just didn't work.
Yep. Your undercut absolutely killed it then. We were saying we expected the undercut to work for the whole race, but just barely missed out on that. And then there was the extra lap at the end, too, from Flomger just missing his pit timing.
Yeah, that's Don't know what to say about that one. Wouldn't expect that from him. He's, a very experienced driver, so it's not really worth the risk. I don't think there's much to gain from it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. The pit strategy that you undertook came super close. It looked like a pretty simple early undercut strategy. Was there anything else about it that you wanted to point out? Was it comfortable the whole way through until the end?
Yeah, I had to do, because from the practice race or the setup I was on had really good like peak lap times, but then towards the end it was a little bit more difficult to control. So I had to, soften it up, give it a little bit more traction. So when the tires did wear down, it was a lot more manageable. And I guess we did see that in my lap times where my average lap was probably only like 2 or 3 tenths off the peak.
Yeah, you were definitely looking super consistent there towards the end.
Yeah, I guess I just can't be upset. It was a little horrifying at the start, though. All the Audis just took off, and I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, it was like you kind of got mugged there at the start. Both those Audis, and then you're in a spot where it's like, okay, now I have to think about what to do here.
Uh-huh.
Well, congrats again, Ryan. P2, still something, still a finish to be happy with, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Have a good night.
You too. That brings us to our third and final podium finisher of the night, Jeremy Mercer. You're here with us in the broadcast booth. How are you feeling after that P3?
Pretty good. Started with a really good qualifying, a really good start to the race, and don't die, and it turned out a podium, so that was pretty good.
Don't die worked indeed. I know Flomger maybe would have come out ahead of you, but not guaranteed. Either way, you got through regardless and onto the podium. We already talked to both Ryan and your teammate Peter about the pit strategy, but we knew exactly what was going on when you followed Ryan into the pits to try and cover him up. How did you feel about the strategy, and do you think it worked out for you guys well?
Well, the goal was definitely to come out in front of Yi, so at least I could hold him up so that both of us would have a better shot at beating him. Obviously, I came out behind Yi, which wasn't ideal, but it still worked out in our favor because Peter was faster than me this race, and I don't want to hold him up if he's got the pace for a win. So
yeah, I definitely understand that sentiment. And I think you guys did the right thing. It definitely helped. Even though you ended up behind him from that nasty undercut, you still were able to get data over to your teammate, and obviously he got the win.
Yep, he was aware of the pace, and it ended up coming really close as we were expecting the whole race. So,
right. Well, once again, congrats on P3. I hope you have a wonderful night and enjoy it, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, Josh, that's going to do it for us tonight, and that's going to bring an end to Round 7 here at SRA Season 8 for Division 1. Next week, we are back at maybe my favorite track in the entire game, Watkins Glen, another American track. You excited for it, Josh?
Watkins is a lot of fun. It's always tough for me to get back into the rhythm with, but once I do, it like most of these tracks that we've had here in the back half of the season, they're a bit of a challenge to get into, but they do produce a lot of good racing, so I'm looking forward to it.
I couldn't agree more. Well, we'll see you all then, 1 week from now in Watkins Glen, upstate New York. We are SRA signing off.
It has been the longest off-season of SRA. The rust has been wiped off and the cars are revved up and ready to go. Welcome to SRA.
away for SRA.